In 2008, the world will turn its attention to China as Beijing plays host to the Olympic Games. China is a nation on the move. 75% of the world's construction cranes are soaring into China's skyline. Thousands of workers are building highways, hotels, arenas, and restaurants. There's a real sense of energy in the air. In this exotic, ancient culture, something brand new is happening. Something new is happening spiritually as well in China. The Spirit of God is moving in fresh new ways. Right now, far more than Olympic venues are being built. Chinese believers are constructing hundreds of brand new local churches in which to worship God and preach His Word. While many of us are familiar with the great stories of faith and courage of the past, now there are new stories being told about the registered church and the unprecedented freedoms its believers now have. Freedom to build their own churches, to preach the gospel, and welcome new believers into their congregations.
The Chinese church really grew very fast. As recent years, more young people, especially in the big cities, they come into the church. They run into the church, actually.
In many areas, government officials have seen how believers help meet the physical and social needs in their communities. They're allowing, on a case-by-case basis, International Cooperating Ministries' Chinese partners to build and plant new churches at an unprecedented rate.
After the Cultural Revolution, the Chinese church reopened in the 1980s. After more than 20 years of development, the Chinese church is growing rapidly. Today, there are more than 100 million Christians in China. Christianity is no longer a foreign thing. It has become the Chinese own. People receive it, and the culture receives it as part of Chinese culture and part of Chinese society. It's no longer just missionaries' work, but the Chinese own.
When we start this church building projects in Hunan, the government say, no, you can't build this. It's not something that we want to do. And the government just totally cannot understand what we are doing there. So we're trying to communicate with the government. We're trying to express we really want to help people there in their community. So we asked government, what can we do for you? And the government said, you can help us to repair a road. You can help us to improve our living conditions. And we do according to their request. We help the people. And the government began to think, oh good, what do you want to build a church is a good thing, because we need more and more such good people who are doing very good in the society.
The gospel seeds that brave missionaries and Chinese pastors planted many years ago are now bearing new fruit that will transform lives for generations to come. During a recent trip to China, the ICM team visited several brand new churches, overflowing with believers of all ages, including many young people who have come to faith in Christ over just the last few years. We saw rural pastors and lay people who have lovingly built their churches with their own hands, erecting steeples with crosses that proclaim the glory of God to the surrounding countryside. We met a pastor whose church has grown from a handful of believers to a body of over 600 people from nearby villages. They bought a piece of land right next to the main highway in their town. When their church is built, it will shine like a beacon to tens of thousands of people in that rural area. Our Chinese brothers and sisters are planting new churches in rural areas that haven't yet experienced the economic boom taking place in China's major cities. These churches are places where people's physical, educational, and spiritual needs can be uniquely fulfilled. The Spirit of God is at work in China. God is building His church there as He is all around the world. At ICM, we have always sought to be part of what God is doing and how we can serve Him in it. That's why there are now more than 2,000 churches around the world built through ICM and its partners in 39 different countries. These churches are meeting the physical and spiritual needs of their people, fostering real discipleship, and training the next generation of church leaders. This is the kind of incredible potential we see for the vast land of China. Its economic development and place on the world stage at the Olympics are making it open and ready for business. And right now, it's open for kingdom business in an unprecedented way. A door of opportunity that our Chinese partners urge us to use right now for the glory of God. The Beijing Olympic Games will be a wonderful celebration of human achievement. Media around the world will tell that story, and it's a good one. But the best story in China is what God is doing to build His church, His body of believers, to praise His name and spread His love throughout this great land. And we have been given the opportunity to participate. Thank you for choosing to be part of this miracle of God's grace.